Buenas tardes, good afternoon. This is Julio with his Daily Chats, and it's about past 7. But I want to definitely take the opportunity to say that it's a very important day. Happy International 420 Friendly Day. And for those of us who've been celebrating 420 Friendly Days for a long time, I'll get into that in a little while. But in the meantime, I just want to say that the reason it's taken me a while today to come out and do this chat is I wanted to do it earlier at 4:20 in the afternoon. I wanted to talk with you guys. I wanted to, do some stuff, but it was difficult because I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning. So these eyes are not just because of toking. These eyes are because of the fact that I've been working hard, because I also run a company, more than one. I run 3, but one of them, my baby, is Latino Sports. And those of you who know, we have the most prestigious and the most oldest Latino award given to professional baseball players. It's called the LatinoMVP Award. We're celebrating 30 years. It's the 30th anniversary this year. And because of the coronavirus and because of all the stuff, people have been sick. My editor, she's basically, been MIA because she has personal family problems with, her people, a lot of our writers. It was been very difficult. So as a result, I just had to jump on this. I had some, meetings, and let's say, let's do this. And, the buck stops here. So, as president and founder, I also have to basically do what I need to do to make sure that this is not interrupted after 30 years. And I finished it. We got votes in from California, from Puerto Rico, from Boston, and from the other areas. And we were able to tally it. And the report went out this morning. So professionally, officially, it went out. Everybody knows who are the winners. If you want to know more about that, go into latinosports.com. And I'm going to have an article about that, which is, if I would have written that, then I would have been doing this around 9 o'clock, which I didn't want to do because it se fue el día. And it's supposed to be a day to celebrate 420 Friendly Day. And I want to make sure we would celebrate that. And the other thing was that we also put out a piece this morning that we've been working on COVID-19. And the issue is that every time you see or you hear about COVID-19 and they talk about the specifics, you hear about all the details that are going out throughout the city. And, rightfully so, that's good. But whenever they talk about the Latino community, they always focus on Elmhurst, Queens, because they've had it hard. Rightfully so, they get a lot of publicity. But a lot of it also has to do with the fact that AOC, she's the congresswoman there, and they always want to talk to her about what's happening in Elmhurst. But when she gives the statistics about Elmhurst, talking about that's the worst, no, sister, it's not. You got to come to the South Bronx, to my district, District 15, and see how bad it really is. But the press is not going to cover it because there ain't nobody talking about it. We have nobody with that stature talking. And as the congressperson that I'm running for to be, perhaps when I get there, I will be that popular. You're going to see my face plastered all the time for the stuff I'm going to say that people are going to be blowing their minds. Say, I don't believe he said that. But it's the truth. And it's the truth because I speak from the heart. I don't need consultants. I don't need bullet points. And I don't need to be politically correct. I say what I feel. And the majority of the time it is politically correct. That's why, thank God, I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm glad that I'm doing it. So bottom line is that this morning we put out a piece on COVID-19, South Bronx economic empowerment. And that piece was slamming. It has specifics, details to show how bad it really is. Worse in some cases than Elmhurst, Queens. And we needed to put that out. So let's put it out to the press. Let's see who publishes. If not, you people know the truth. Just go to my website for my campaign, which is juliopavon.com. www.juliopavon.com. That's another piece. Now, let's get into the reason for today. Those of you who indulge, those of you who don't indulge, at least you respect the fact of those of us who do indulge. I've been smoking marijuana since I was 16 years old. This is not a breakthrough. Don't say, oh my God, look what he just said. He said it now. No, listen, it's on record. Go to YouTube and type in, Julio Pavon, weed, Vice, Julio Pavon, weed, and you'll see. I was public a long time ago. I got 36,000, responses congratulating me. A person my age saying what I was saying. And it wasn't just me. There were also doctors, there were some attorneys, there was others who were basically tired of this, stigma that people who smoke weed are all, in NYCHA projects or in the corners and bunch of hoodlums. No, I've known doctors and attorneys and judges, but I don't say names, who've been smoking weed for the longest. But I thought that it was important for me to come out publicly and say it. And I've been saying it since I was 16. I don't hide it. All the jobs. Unfortunately, the situations that have been in terms of the criminalization of the possession of marijuana. Puerto Rico at one point, if you used to say if you get busted with one joint in Puerto Rico at a time when I was smoking, you talk about 1 year in jail for one joint. All right, so that's how antiquated and draconian these laws were for something that was so natural. A plant that was legally grown in this country. That's basically a God-given plant because it has so many other positive qualities. But let's stick to, the herb, marijuana. And the fact is that for me personally, it's not because I'm a pothead. It's not because I like to be stoned. I don't get stoned. People have been around me all the time. I'm not stoned. But bottom line is that it helped me a lot in terms of my asthma. And it helped me a lot in terms of, just my condition. That basically I think real quick, things are real fast by me. So sometimes, I need to just slow down, and that helps me a lot. Much better than alcohol. People who know me know that when we go out, I'm usually the designated driver because I do not drink alcohol. I don't drink hard alcohol. Maybe I'll drink a cup of wine, a glass of wine here and there. That's about it. And it's kept me the way I am. 68 on April 29th, which by the way, stick a pin here. April 29th is my birthday. So get ready to party wherever you're at. I'm going to find out a way so that we can party. Those of you that like to party, because we throw some badass parties, you're invited. And even if you're still in any other camp for this, you can also join us. It doesn't matter. I'm not into all this competition. I'm into just representing, for what needs to be done. So now, getting those two things off, it took me a while to basically come to today and do this. And I know that the other elected officials have come out and said that today, because of the day, that they agree that, decriminalization of marijuana, they can talk about legalization, they talk about recreational use. And I say, okay, thank you and congratulations. And hey, I give you your kudos for doing that. But I want people to know, I've been saying that for the longest. So while somebody just came out today and sent out an email and tell people how they stand with the law, blah, 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 and sounding all nice, and they have a nice, dress, shirt, tie, the whole bit, the political look, I'm not into that. I am with who I am. And that's why I get a lot of support from people in the streets. And maybe not that much support from the people at other levels. But the bottom line is that I am on target on one thing. One thing is that on the legalization of marijuana, I believe that every state in the United States should at minimum, have medicinal marijuana legislation. There's a lot of people like me in other states. There's people right now in other states that are probably crossing the border or illegally purchasing something when they shouldn't be, man. When I had to go to NYCHA houses to cop, that's what we used to say, right? Now I just go to Hunts Point and I can show my card. Unfortunately, New York doesn't have flour, which is what I like the best. So I have to get the oil, but that's a good substitute. It does help me, and it's a big difference. So when I went there for the first time, I was saying, wow, what a big difference. Before I had to, when I was like being with some friends and whether they're going to deliver this or not. And now you can just easily go to a spot. And because it's that easy now to do it in New York, at least for medicinal reasons, I believe that in any state that basically they should have medicinal. And then also states that already have medicinal, look at the competition, look what's going on, see how much money is generating, and see how important it is to do recreational use. Because it's not going to bring up crime. The record's already set on the over 20 states that have been using it already, and the states that have already been, and the countries that have already legalized it for recreational purposes. It's a lie. It doesn't increase crime. In fact, it decreases crime. And it adds a lot of hell of money into the coffers of the city and the state. So that's something that I will be promoting in terms of my campaign. But I'm also going a step further. I go beyond that. I also talk about the fact that any person in the state that decriminalizes and legalizes marijuana, whether it's medicinal or recreational, every person that have been ever arrested for possession of marijuana, non-violent crime, those records need to be expunged. They need to be cleaned up. They need to disappear. I go a step further. Besides those records being, expunged, anybody who's been arrested for the illegal possession of marijuana when it was illegal and now it's legal in those states, then those persons should be number one priority on the list to get a job in that industry. So if an industry develops in that state for medicinal marijuana, for recreational marijuana, then there should be a list of every single person that have been arrested for the possession of marijuana or for the use of marijuana, that they should be given first priority for those jobs. I go further. I also believe that with the money that's being generated from this new business, this new industry, that they should be able to have the opportunity to set up a cooperative. Because you know what happens usually, and it's happened already. When it becomes legal, who are getting the licenses? There's nobody from the block. There's nobody that you know of that's getting a license to have a medicinal or to have a dispensary anywhere. Those licenses are going to go to the people who didn't even get involved in this stuff, but they have the money, they have the connections, they have the contacts. Let's be real. That's what's going to happen. So what I'm saying is that we should have the power to be able to develop a cooperative in neighborhoods like Mott Haven, my neighborhood, neighborhoods like Highbridge, near areas by Hunts Point, where a lot of people were arrested, and people should now have the opportunity to have resources coming in from that. So therefore, we should have dispensaries that are there, not giving licenses to one individual or one family or one clique or one group or one nationality, people who have the money, but for that community to be able to set up a cooperative, and the money from that dispensary goes and stays in that community. Now you're talking about economic empowerment. When the dollar stays in the community, that's when the community begins to develop. Jobs for people who've been arrested, who didn't commit a violent crime for marijuana possession or illegal use. 2, medicinal marijuana dispensaries that are run by the people in the community, but also owned by our cooperative people in the community. And that way, the money just stays and flows in the community. So something as positive as developing a progressive agenda where we're developing the use of recreational medicinal marijuana, we can bring that money back and stays here. So not like it was with the hip hop industry, with the breakdancing industry, with all the other stuff that we developed, that it came out of the Bronx, but billion-dollar industries develop outside, but very little of that money has come back to the South Bronx. This time, we're not gonna let that happen. So on the recreational, medicinal aspects of marijuana, we need to be ready to jack up and get involved in the economics of that industry. So those are my positions, those are my points, making sure that we give priority to people who weren't arrested, make sure that we should try to get it, the legalization of recreational use, and the fact that we purge those records of the people who had it. And also the legislative minority medicinal act that's been in the state, that some of our elected officials who call themselves very progressive, and progressive they are, and they're right. I'm not a progressive, I'm a revolutionary. It doesn't get into the specifics that I talked about. It does get into some specifics for the positive, and I support it, but we need to go further. And that's why I made this video today, con tiempo, took my time, because I worked hard to do the other things that I needed to do. And now I am definitely going to sign off, because somewhere in the world is 420, and I am going to call my friends and we're going to take a toke over the air somewhere. So wherever that party is, see if you can find us. God bless you, because I said this revolution is and will be televised.